Welcome back once again to the caster desk. We're still about to go into game now between the Myrmidons, or the Dutch Myrmidons as we should call them, and Variety's new team.
And this turns out to be a great set overall. I mean, we really thought that it was going to be Variety's new team running away with this to the finals, but it hasn't been that at all. Game 2, a little bit of a run through on their side, but Game 1, it looked like they were in control. It was back and forth. Variety's new team gets the edge, but then it's Dutch Myrmidons coming back and making the win and forcing this Game 3.
For sure. Legat. Sorry, I just looked at the screen and saw it says Legat in the background because our buddies block all the other letters.
Thanks, Hindu.
I don't know why I said that. I just wanted to say it, that's all.
Great.
We're about to get to pick some bands very, very shortly, so don't worry about that one. So, obviously, Game 1, Dutch Myrmidons came back into it. Honestly, they were on the back foot for a very long period of time there. But mistakes were made by VNT, and that allowed Myrmidons a window that they really exploited overall.
And that's a good sign. Like, it isn't as good as maybe just taking control of the game and winning outright, but being able to take that opportunity and run with it and really just get yourselves those ever-important points, making sure that you're getting that confidence moving in the next week, like we mentioned, or potentially even this week. If they're able to find this Game 3, they can really ride that wave all the way through the finals. And if you can win Week 1, you're in a beautiful spot to really secure your spot.
Pretty much, like, Week 1 pretty much guarantees if you make it to at least the quarters next week, you should be in a contendable spot to enter those relegations for sure.
Yeah, if you win Week 1, it's smooth sailing from here. You really just have to make it to quarters, maybe even semis, and then you can just do whatever you want and not really worry about it because you're going to relegations.
Well, let's find out who's about to win this set now, because picks and bans are ready between the two. I'm expecting to see Dutch Myrmidons maybe take the first pick option here.
And it is going to be Dutch Myrmidons with that first pick option.
Shocked.
You should do this for a living. You're pretty good.
I should sometimes. It's basically like, hey, listen, when they lost, they picked the same side. Maybe we should give them the other side. It's pretty much just logical.
Pretty good at this.
Being logical? Yeah, sometimes. Apart from like having to cast with you, then I'm...
How is that illogical? That doesn't even make sense.
It does make sense.
That was a stretch at best.
It does make sense.
I give you props whenever you get me, but that one, I mean, come on.
You shouldn't be casting is the illogical part about it.
Well,
anyway,
that's fair.
Capri and Nike have been banned out so far. No real surprises there. I'm expecting Sylvanus potentially the top pick for Dutch Myrmidons here, because Sylvanus has won every game he's been in so far.
2-0. 2-0 so far, though we could see a Freya ban here. You were talking about it before the break, and that's exactly what it's going to be against Arkkyl, keeping that out of Arkyl's hands.
And this allows them to pick up the Sylvanus still if they want to as the first pick, unless there's something else on the table. Maybe the Terror potentially could get through. Obviously, their global presence is one of the reasons why Nike gets banned, because of her passive and the global effect. Same thing with Terra and her ultimate.
Very much so, but Terra not good in the early game, really. Not especially at level 1. Her level 1 is notoriously weak, but that doesn't really matter to Variety's new team. They're going to make sure that's banned away, keeping that out of the hands of Dutch Myrmidons.
I'm expecting Sylvanus then for the Myrmidons here right off the start.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't see a reason not to go for this. What else was really there that was a hot
Ratatoskr? The Ratatoskr was picked early on last time for Dutch Myrmidons, really to keep it out of Variety's hands, I believe. And so if you see Dutch Myrmidons do go for the Sylvanus, I expect a Ratatoskr, potentially a Thanatos as well, though Thanatos was really passed up in the first few phases last time. Zeus is another one that's open right now. It is going to be Erlang, also 2-0, to be fair.
Very true.
Zeus open right now, and I really expect Zeus Sylvanus here would be absolutely potent against the rest of Dutch Myrmidons.
Well, to be fair, the control playstyle that Variety's new team seems to have here is Zyrhoes is on controlling god. Even Poseidon has a lot of burst, but the Whirlpools is giving some stuff. However, you're right, they're going to go with Zeus.
Zeus can play the controlling role, though. I mean, the big slow from Chain Lightning and then the AoE area denial from Lightning Storm are the two real big control things that he has, plus that early push. Very, very strong, and it is going to be Zeus Sylvanus.
And that combination can be very, very strong in the mid lane. Ego have shown it before. Now how strong that combo can be. Obviously, the ultimate from Sylvanus can really set up for a free ultimate for Zeus for those extra ticks that are also vital in confirming the damage with Detonate.
And Trixtank just played this Sylvanus so well last game. The pulls were absolutely on point. And if you could pull someone into that Lightning Storm, into the Chain Lightning bounce off the shield, it's just going to do so much damage. Very surprised to see Dutch Myrmidons really give up those two picks.
But they do get DeathPanter back on that Janus again this time around. Not going to go for the raw pick here. I felt his Janus was very instrumental in that game here. Very few space and times that were very impactful in that game, and maybe they can find that once more. And with even more global pressure from Ratatoskr now, they're setting themselves up nicely so far.
Very true, and a lot of CC potential so far, but in the early to mid stages of the game, DeathPanter just wasn't putting out the damage that was really necessary on this Janus. We saw him go for the boots, the Soul Reaver, the Obsidian Shard, and the Rod of Tahuti very quickly, just trying to get that burst damage in. That's where it started to turn around for them. We'll have to see if he can position himself a little bit more aggressively to get that damage off.
Talking about aggression, we saw Arkkyl picking up Freya 2 games in a row against Ban, so what does he go to? Another magical AD carry this time, Chronos.
Seems good. Yeah, very, very strong right now. We saw Emilito basically pilot energy to win the second world title on this Chronos. He looked absolutely phenomenal on it, and it's just so strong in this meta. With the Celestial Legion helm, with the fact that you're leaving hunters alone for the most part in basically the entire game. You're not even going to the duo lane early on. Plus his level 1 clear is pretty decent. His level 1 fight, not horrible. You can even spec into the stun if you needed.
Soulban next for VNT. That's what I'm predicting here. Because if you can take out you take Chronos, Freya's band, you take Jingwei, take Sol, what other gods are really there? I mean, we've not really seen many of the other physical hunters.
Sure, but we saw Baas playing Sol earlier and didn't really do that well on it. I mean, he got soloed in lane, so could see it left open, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Ban away that Geb, making sure that they're going to not have that savior potential. That's what the Khepri's there for, to save the people who are going deep into the team fights. Geb can also do that, though, without the ultimate. You know, it's a little bit of a different dynamic, but it's the same sort of archetype of Guardian, keeping that out of the hands of Dutch Myrmidons.
And now Hoek's going to have a decision to make on where he's going to go now, because he's going to have to play something different that he's not played so far. Khepri, Sylvanus, the 2 he's gone to. We'll see how deep his god pool lies here, and I think that's one of the reasons VNT are looking at that Geb.
Yeah, I like that. And tier banned away now, so Thanatos, tier, both real shots at Variety, I think, as well as Qvo with the Thanatos kind of flex pick option. So Variety's going to have to play a new god that we haven't seen him on. The first one that comes to many people's mind is probably going to be Ymir. I mean, Ymir is one of Variety's signature gods. It certainly was before Worlds. We didn't see it at all at Worlds.
True.
But you got a couple players that you can really block off very, very well in the jungle so far. Erlang, Shen, and Ratatoskr both struggle against that ice wall in the jungle.
And then Thor being picked up for VNT here, more than likely for QvoFred in the jungle. Has a pretty good matchup against Ratatoskr for all intents and purposes. Can't get knocked up because of Berserker Barrage, so you can see that one coming in. That could be helpful. The wall to try and pin him down on escape routes, it can cause some problems.
It absolutely can, but on the other hand, Ratatoskr can stun him out of the Berserker's Barrage if he's able to time that as well. So a little bit of counterplay available to both sides there. Bacchus and Ram going to round out the draft for Dutch Myrmidons. I really do like this draft.
If you are European, you have to have Bacchus in your god pool as a support player. That is just standard. It's the same with Ymir. You kind of have to have, if you don't have Ymir, you got to have an Ares.
I was going to say, what about Ares?
That's kind of the 3 in Europe overall. Bacchus, Ymir, Ares have always been in contention for some point, so you've got to have at least 2 of the 3 there. So you
got to be there to do some damage, is
pretty much
the bottom line.
Which
is weird because Europeans don't even fight that
Europeans
much.
are known for not fighting as often as their North American counterparts, but they win enough world championships to make up for that.
All right, get carried by energy 2 years in a row, and all of a sudden, whatever. Camazotz locked in here for Variety. Love it in the solo lane. Absolutely love it. This man was an absolute monster on this pick at the World Championships, and I expect to see the same level of play from him here.
Now, the only difference is here with the lineup from Variety's team here is going to be down to Trixtank and QvoFred dictating the pace this time again. Qvo's going to be the initiator for the most part. Trix can support that one. It's a little bit better of a frontline in terms of initiation, whereas Variety's going to be doing very similar things, but he can't really initiate. You can just 1v1, I guess. It's not like he's going to CC people up. Oh, they're going to catch one.
MikeTheMagikarp forced into the dash, but Qvo got the hammer and Trix got the root. Now a 2-man belly flop from Hoek. Qvo's in a lot of trouble here.
He jukes the unstable vortex though, and it's actually, meanwhile, on the backside, Baas is the one taking more than he wasted. Variety's still coming in heavily for this. Obviously, cleave attacks will come into play. Qvo gets first kill. Trix is in trouble. Unstable vortex doesn't really find a home again from Panther, and Trixtank does fall down now to Hoek.
The double stun, though, coming out of Arkkyl. They're going to be able to pick up another one. Ratatoskr, now Variety getting very low, waiting on that vampiric bats that could give him some sustain.
Oh, he's still looking for on the backside there. We will see Erlang Shen pick up Arkkyl, who's 1 hit. Unstable vortex hits 3 this time, and they can push on a little bit more. Flop on point onto hit Zyrhoes 1 more time, but he's still tanky enough. This is a Clown Fiesta.
I was just about to say Clown Fiesta. That's exactly what this is. Already 4 kills. Minions just spawned. BigSB not done yet. Variety just able to juke that 72 transformations. He's going to be safe for now, but it's
no, he's not.
No, he's dead.
The double tap is there. The beat down is on. The flop is so good from Hoek to get him away. 30 seconds in, 2-2. And I don't know who's winning.
I guess it's Variety's new team. They got the first blood. I mean, they were able to find it. A lot of relics used there as well. Arkkyl did go into that time stop looking for the stun. He really made it pay with the 2 stunned there in that engagement.
Actually,
and it is Variety's new team a little bit ahead.
Oh, by far, because look what happened on the left-hand side. Arkkyl did die in the engagement, did pick up a kill in the engagement, but he got a whole wave of solo farm on the left-hand side already, and most of that is going to get denied for the most part because the next wave coming in, it means the Baas who went mid helps out DeathPanter to share experience in some of the jungle, did lose a whole wave of experience there.
And that's big, just getting Arkkyl late towards those later stages of the game, absolutely. And if we take a look at the items right now, you could see that there were a lot of relics used. In fact, every single relic except for DeathPanter's Purification got used in that engagement. That's 2 sets of Sanctuaries, a teleport, and the shell from Hoek.
And now with that, he's going to slow the pace down just a little bit at the beginning for the most part, because all teams like, okay, do we win that? Do we lose that? What do we need to do to correct? What buffs are still up?
It's not physically possible to keep up that level of aggression early on. Like, there's just not enough. You just can't do it.
I mean, you say that, but look at the right-hand side. These two will just be fighting away all day in this lane. Obviously, Zashu up against Variety here. Just going to continue to trade, but Qvo is over here as well to support in the early stages.
Just making sure that Variety is safe in this lane. You just need to give him the opportunity to lifesteal off these creeps with that Devour like you're seeing right there. Actually, TheBigSB really able to make a nice play there, knocking QvoFred up, preventing the long-range hammer teleport. Now Qvo has to back. Qvo was over there not only to relieve that pressure and make sure that Variety could sustain, but also to secure that blue buff for Variety.
Yeah, he can't now.
That he really needs it, but because of Zashu's play there in lane, it means that Qvo has to back, which means Variety has no mana.
Real shame that MikeTheMagikarp has gone to the left-hand side here, though, because if he would have gone to the right-hand side with this, they could have invaded that blue buff and continued to allow the big SB to continue to push on a lead here on the right-hand side. But because he's on the left, it does mean that the pressure's been averted, so VNT can get their own blue.
And you can see Variety already behind. It's BigSB on top of his team as far as net worth goes, where it's Variety on the bottom.
Space and time coming out from Panther. The train is here, but the bad news is QvoFred spotted it and cut him off with the wall too. The wall lasted forever, but Variety's still in trouble here.
He's still dead. He's absolutely still dead, but that play from Qvo was... That was a crazy play.
He sees through space and time comes through and he goes, hang on a sec, let me just walk around this corner because the train is going to get derailed right here for a nice little while. And still Variety couldn't get out.
And that's because Variety just wasn't able to hit level 5, and that's because that blue buff is still standing. That's the big play, and that, again, it revolves around Zashu's being able to 2v1 and pressure QvoFred out of lane.
Another right half. He's due to spawn very, very soon here. A lot of pressure on them from the Dutch Myrmidons for the time being, as once again they turn their attention back to the blue buff, which is still standing on that right-hand side. Available experience, as level 5 has now been reached for MikeTheMagikarp.
And now finally, everyone level 5 outside of Hoek, still waiting on that Intoxicate. Pretty low on mana as well, so I anticipate we'll see him back pretty soon. Trix looking for the pull there. Zyrhoes staying far enough back to make sure he doesn't get flopped on by Hoek, but now everyone has those ultimates available.
Not really had to talk about itemization too much because it's just been all aggression. As we say, that Trix in the mid lane, gonna stable Vortex, thanks to a nice stun coming out from Magikarp. Rama in the sky though.
He's looking for the snipes. There's the Intoxicate, but that's just gonna make it harder for the snipes to hit. It is QvoFred coming crashing down onto Hoek.
He's got no mana. He's not gonna be able to flop away here anytime soon, and it actually go the way of QvoFred. But now the big SB is here as well, and in the sky is MikeTheMagikarp, and he'll pick up Qvo.
Oh, we get his pulled under tower right away by Trixtank, getting a decent amount of damage. Lightning Storm comes down from Zyrhoes. Variety looking to chase down that Ratatoskr so low. Jukes the Devour, and then gets the nice heal. Mike, he's out.
Mike is playing up, so what I've seen him do before right now is Arkkyl will get hit by space and time. Variety jumped up as well. He's going to fall down, and the Dutch Myrmidons continue their early game winning streak against VNT.
Wow, I mean, it was like the first 2 games were warm-up games, and now it's just insane plays left and right. QvoFred walling off people off through space and time, and there, the double ult from through space and time right on top of Zashu, making sure that they're able to delete Arkkyl before that rewind goes off. Very, very clean there from Dutch Myrmidons.
Now those graphs you see right now, I mean, for all intents and purposes, this is late game, you wouldn't be talking about them too much, but for 5 minutes in, and a 2k experience lead is very, very big indeed.
And again, that's because of the staggered buff taking over on the right-hand side. You could see its Baas has a 2-level lead on Arkkyl right now, despite him getting a kill and an assist in that early engagement. You could see that Zashu, the big SB, has about a level over Variety as well. In the middle lane, you see a level disparity in addition to that. So DeathPanter playing very, very well.
Very, very well indeed at the moment, and it's going to be a very interesting one to see exactly how this will go down as well as the game continues right now. Bit of poke pressure between the two over the right-hand side. Variety doing some pretty good work there, but Erlang Shen giving back as good as he gets for the time being. We'll see how this works out.
And again, it's Zashu able to just make plays on this right-hand side, playing that Erlang Shen, taking that buff advantage that he had earlier on.
Okay, guys, it's going to be a quick pause coming up any second right now, and we'll be back in a moment. Looks like a quick pause between the two teams as of how it stands for the moment.
And this is just a great beginning for Dutch Myrmidons. I mean, the team play, again, really being the standout factor for me. It's the communication. DeathPanter letting TheBigSB know, hey, stand right where you are, try and CC him in place as best you can. I've got help coming to you. Yep. And just working together very, very well as a team.
This could be an awkward situation for him now. We'll just see exactly how these guys can work out, because once again, the Dutch Myrmidons have got off to a fantastic start. 2 times in a row, now the 3rd time where, let's be honest, it was back and forth, and we said the Variety's new team are the ones that took the lead there.
Sure.
But the fight back again is just so good. They're so good in the early game.
I mean, it's just the team's coordination, again, coming through for the longer tenured team. All the skill in the world is on Variety's new team. I mean, they've been working together not that long, but they have the track record, they have the resumes, and everyone expects them to do very well, like we mentioned, but it's just not quite there yet. And you can see that in those big early game brawls, that's where the communication is key. You've got to have that target caller that you can trust to say, this is the man we need to be hitting right now, and have all 5 targets on them. And it's just so difficult to do that with an early team.
Completely agree. And the one thing that happens with some of these younger teams is the fact that once they hit that mid-game, late game, that's where they struggle. The early game is the thing that you play the most overall. You practice it over and over again, and you can get really good. And when you don't play against, the teams don't recognize you and know what you're going to bring, you can surprise them like they're doing right now.
Well, we really need to see MikeTheMagikarp spend a lot of time on this right-hand side, making sure...
Oh, he'd get the kill as well. Right 1-for-1 trade under the tower overall there after the pause as well. QvoFred now forced out on the left-hand side as well, away from looking for a bit of aggression. DeathPanter, so far this game, being involved in 6 of the kills at the 7, and those through space and times have been very, very important.
The only one he misses is right there on the right-hand side, the dive underneath that tier 1 tower. And that's actually worth it for Variety, because he's behind. He needs that gold, and getting that kill onto the TheBigSB, even if he dies in the process, is a step towards getting back into the game.
And talk about getting back into the game for Variety's new team now. Dutch Myrmidons have to push on this now. They have to try and apply pressure somewhere. And talking about pressure, that dash was fantastic from Get Fisher there, and he's going to re-engage.
He's got the shell Trix, but it's going to take a lot of damage still. Through space at time, finds the mark, as well as the Intoxicate. Trix getting so low. One more auto, not going to be able to find it.
And you talked about Zeus, but Rama in the sky, looking for the snipe. One is clean, and Cuvo was hanging in the air, looking to reinitiate. Sadly, he's not able to do so, but look at the decision-making coming out from the Dutch Myrmidons there to reinitiate onto Trix after he missed his ult.
I've loved Baas's rotations into this left side jungle. That's the 2nd time we've seen him make that rotation. Hold that thought, Flot onto QvoFred, but it's actually Hoek in a bunch of trouble, taking a lot of damage with a 2-man portal. Gonna buy him a little bit of time. You can see it was actually MikeTheMagikarp said, later, bro.
That's the support not recognizing the situation his team is in. You saw that one way to base, his jungler way to base, his mid laner completely out of mana there. They couldn't really look to fight. But going back to that whole fight onto Trixtank there, as you talked about Zeus earlier on, as we watched his blue buff fight, but Zeus denied the area that bought enough time, at least for a moment.
Very, very close. I love the synergistic play there between Trix and Zyrhoes. Almost able to get the support out of danger despite the use of 3 or 4 ultimates. It takes 4 to make him fall at the end of the day. But again, Trix, I mean, you'll see him do it from time to time where he's just out there trying to make a play.
For Variety here, very low on the mana side of things. As once again, the TheBigSB, also known as Zashu, is showing one of the reasons why he was considered a pretty good damn solo laner. He had a lot of potential to be one of the better ones over in Europe until his untimely demise after having a competitive ban for a while.
And I love the decision to poke out Variety right as the speed buff spawns. You can see Hoek coming in here trying to make an impact as well. Trixtank caught out a little bit, but the 3-man knockup is good.
And he's going to flop straight onto Trix, however, space and time also hits, but it wasn't a whole lot of damage they would have liked. Cuvo taken to the sky after chain lightning was used, but that portal from DeathPanter was fantastic to put a little bit more pressure on as Mike wants to hang around, waiting for Cuvo to come down, and he's going to find him.
He's going to find him, no purification, but he is able to teleport away, but the problem is Variety is here. Hoek is going to find him. Cuvo by himself, though, able to solo him with the support.
And now Variety's by himself, too. Uses Bad out of Hell to look for a kill, but also live. live, but he missed a second hit. Will clean it up, however, with the bats. And now he's going to fall back to his tower. They're thinking about going in, but Trix is coming round.
Trix has arrived, but it's only him not able to make play there. Zyrhoes has to use Purification and the ultimate.
And that's a clean kill there for the big SB in the mid lane.
He's been the playmaker overall for Dutch Myrmidons in this series. I mean, he's looked very, very strong throughout all 3 games, basically, and making a real big difference in this one in particular, 3-1 and 5. But surprisingly enough, he's 3rd on his team in net worth, not near the top of the farming. But that says a lot about how well Baas is farming on the left-hand side, as well as DeathPanter, who is massive in the middle lane, 2 levels up on top of Zyrhoes right
This is a big lead overall for the Dutch Myrmidons, but they need to capitalize on this now, because this is the time, once again, where they start to drift off, they start to lose focus a little bit, and that's where Variety's new team comes back into this. They need to look for Gold Furies now, I feel. They're starting to win these engagements. The engagements are going well, and this experience in gold can help them to look for the gold.
But the problem is, despite this big lead and the great play that we've seen from Zashu, he doesn't have a big lead level-wise or even gold-wise. It's only about 200 gold, a little bit less than that even. And so Variety, even if we do see the big SB make that rotation onto the left-hand side, if Variety follows him, it could be an even fight in Variety's new team's favor.
Well, the Clown Fiesta continues in this game for me because it's a non-stop kill action. 16 kills in 10 minutes tells you a lot about the pace of this one. Left-hand Harpies will go the way of VNT here, unless we're going to see Hoek look for another crazy play, because he died last time he tried that one.
But he doesn't have any vision on this left-hand side. It is going to be controlled by VNT, but no Gold Fury pool quite yet. MikeTheMagikarp over here taking a decent amount of damage from Arkkyl. Trixtank coming around the back, trying to protect the ward, but it is going to be Baas getting that vision to control on the Gold Fury.
And the vision very, very important. Once again, pressure onto Zyrhoes in the mid lane here. He needs support, and he will fall down in time. The ultimate just a little bit too late from Trixtank as the pull whiffed and went straight through the uprights.
But again, it's DeathPanter just on the point with that through space and time, able to delete Zyrhoes despite not finding a home with unstable.
Well, here's a chance for the Gold Fury now, but the damage from Arkkyl was very good there, and they actually might be able to pick him up. They will. Erlang Shen falls down. Gold Fury falls as well for the side of the Dutch Myrmidons.
And now MikeTheMagikarp, he may fall 2 for 0. But as long as you get the Gold Fury, you're in a good spot. Wisps are able to pick him up. Trixtank, confident in that damage. 2 for 0 in favor of VNT, but they lose the Gold Fury.
Even then?
Keeps the lead. Yeah, about even.
About even for now, but look at this. They're trying to pin Baas on the left-hand side because Variety's right around the back here. And now the roll is down. He's going to force the ultimate. It will buy him a few seconds now to just wait for reinforcements that are going to try and get here. And I think that's why VNT might just sit back a little bit and take the win.
Variety actually proxies the wave from Arkkyl, so now he's not going to be able to get that experience. He's waiting to push this wave underneath the tower, but with the rotation from Hoek, it's going to be difficult for him to get any sort of significant tower poke.
I'm not sure if DeathPanter recognizes Variety's here. He will now as the Bat comes in looking for the steal of this overall, and the Bat will steal away the buff and walk away happy with the invade that worked out for him. He stole farm on the left-hand side and got a buff.
And the big SB didn't really get anything on the right-hand side because he had just respawned and was walking back to lane, so Variety makes the most out of the time that his lane opponent is dead, finds a couple, forces out an ultimate, and gets the speed buff invade.
Rand side, good ultimate, good double tap, good knock up to follow it up too. And there's nowhere really for him to go. He will get the ultimate off there, the big SB, but it's not going to be enough to keep him alive. DeathPanter's ultimate was on the rotation for his team to come through, just a little bit too late.
And that's such a bad spot as a solo laner to get a Gold Fury, but you die for it. Okay, I can just get up and farm. But then you die as soon as you get back to lane. He literally got 1 lane of experience.
Now this is the problem that we may see coming out from Dutch Myrmidons, because it looks like they're falling for the same plan every single game. They lose a kill and they try and fight back and get a kill in response. Where Hoek dived the tower there, that was very risky for no real reason.
No, not a whole lot of reason. I mean, Trixtank didn't have his ultimate, neither did QvoFred, but Variety still had his, though he was low on mana. But again, they just leave this tower available. I mean, I guess that they would have needed all 3 there to defend. That is true. But again, that is just such an unfortunate situation for the big SB, because that lead that he had worked so hard to get is basically all but gone. He's now down in gold.
Yeah, I think the big key here is with Dutch Myrmidons is the excitability of this team. I think they get overexcited when they're in the lead a little bit and think that they can have to make plays all the time. And because of those things happening, it ends up allowing VNT back into it all the time.
I agree with you. I mean, just look at the graphs. You see that Gold Fury goes the way of Dutch Myrmidons, but ever since, it's been VNT fighting back into this very, very strong.
Arkkyl looking to pressure a little bit more onto Baas here, forcing him to roll away and just continue to farm in support there. You can see QvoFred has come over, but there's a ward that's keeping all that in check for the time being. Baas is going to be very careful on this left-hand side for now.
And keep in mind that Variety's new team, their composition this time around is much better in the later stages of the game. It's sieging towers. Chronos is the opposite end of the spectrum from Freya. Freya is one of the worst tower pushers, but Chronos is one of the best, and you're going to be able to see VNT really take advantage of that if they're able to keep even or keep a lead into the later stages.
Well, with the pressure onto Baas now, you can see that the Dutch Myrmidons have headed over to the left-hand side too. Baas forced to ultimate, his purification's down. Remember, he's trying to hold this because Qvo's still in the sky.
Qvo is going to eat that third shot right away. Nice purification right off the bat, but it's not going to be enough as BigSB going to be able to chase him down. Now Arkkyl on the wrong side of the map, running from the rest of Dutch Myrmidons.
Sanctuary was buying some time, and the ultimate for zone duty once again from Zyrhoes used well. Going to fall towards the mid lane for the time being, but still, Dutch Myrmidons giving chase.
Arkkyl just still caught out, and now the rest of the team is here. Trixtank not able to find a knock up there with Wrath of Terror. The portal keeping Arkkyl in danger for now. Variety in the middle of everybody, just trying to make sure his hunter gets out safe.
And the big thing here is what you're seeing from Variety's new team there. They couldn't make a decision to try to save each other, getting even more poke onto them. But as he went around the corner there, that chain lightning did a lot of work, and he's allowing Variety to go back in, but no ultimate this time to escape. He's going to be very careful.
Very careful, but he is very tanky already. Has that Mark of the Vanguard as well as the Breastplate of Valor, working on what looks to be a Genji's next. Not a lot of HP in that build, none whatsoever outside of the Mark of the Vanguard, but a ton of protection.
But still, Dutch Myrmidons answer back again. We saw them like start to even things up, but those two picks on the left-hand side, very important to them there. If it wasn't for the rotation from MikeTheMagikarp and DeathPanter, I think we could have seen Baas take a tumble.
And I agree with you. I mean, look at how many wards the Dutch Myrmidons have on the left-hand side, and that's what really came up big there. Qvo goes into the sky without knowing that there are two people who could melee him. I mean, who are right next to him, literally, and so the whole engagement goes wrong from there.
Talk about going up to the sky. He's up in the sky right now on the right-hand side, looking towards the Erlang Shen, who immediately ults in response and uses the turtle to live to fight another day.
Win there for the BigSB. Not able to quite get the tower, but that ultimate from Erlang Shen, not nearly as impactful as the global rotation capability from Anvil of Dawn.
And talk about Janus with the global rotation as well. Currently, DeathPanter sat 1-0-8 in this game. He's got pretty much most of the core build online right now. I'm wondering where he's going with that next item right now, aggro.
Could be a Divine Ruin to try and make sure that they're shutting down the healing from Trixtank. Variety as well has that healing, and he needs it on this right-hand side. Oh, just able to get up into the sky, but MikeTheMagikarp is in hot pursuit.
And he's looking to dunk down. Will find the dunk and clean up the kill as well. Variety just bit off a little bit too much there against three members. Yeah, you are Camazotz. Yeah, you've got a lot of sustain, but you don't have much crowd control is always the issue.
No crowd control whatsoever. Just a slow is all you've got, and that's on one of your abilities, and the hardest one to hit, that second one. So Variety just trying to play like he's super far ahead, and he's really not. It has been Zeshu continuing to push the pace on this.
Fantastic wall from QvoFred there, but he's still going to get flopped on now. Berserker Barrages, and the pin is going to stop thanks to the cripple, a jump into his hammer, and now Mike gets another kill. This is getting a little bit out of hand now. VNT need to start to slow this down a little bit.
Trixtank trying to make sure that the BigSB can't back. DeathPanter throws out a portal for him, but he's knocked up, pulled away. Trixtank tries to keep him from the portal, and he's able to do so. It actually expires.
But at the same time, he is a warrior tank versus a guardian. I don't think he's going to find a kill on that side. Meanwhile, Variety came back into the fight. Lost half his health, so he's going to have to sustain back up. Zyrhoes wants to give chase.
But it's not going to be enough. Those skills take a little bit of time to travel, and that's exactly what you can see there. DeathPanter, I love the idea to give him that portal.
Yeah.
And Trixtank, the only reason that the BigSB lives there is because as he goes into the tower, the rest of the team that was there was MikeTheMagikarp and Hoek. They actually push the minion wave underneath that tier 2 to make sure that that will be tanking it up. And very heads-up decision from Erlang Shen to not attack Trixtank as he's hitting him, because that would have pulled the tower aggro. So even the fact that he's able to pull away from that portal, it doesn't matter, able to escape through the tower anyway.
This set alone for me is going to spell a lot of people watching this a little bit closer now and being a bit more respectful to other teams, because from my viewpoint, I think a lot of the North American teams that are going to be having roster changes and maybe going through the open bracket, and a lot of Europeans too will look back at this set and go, hold up a second, we're probably going to play at a decent to high standard here and respect our opposition, because the challenger scene is not that far behind at all.
No, but like you mentioned, there are a lot of veterans on this Dutch Myrmidons roster that have been there and done that. I mean, MikeTheMagikarp, a.k.a. Get Fisher, not had the success that most have at the SPL level, but still has been there. And then you've got the DeathPanter Zashu, who has looked like he had a very bright future ahead of him, and then took that competitive ban that really removed him from Cringe Crew.
Golf Fury already below half health here. Arkkyl looking to steal this one away for the best if he can get it away there. I mean, the Golf Fury's got to go the way of the Dutch Myrmidons there. Immediate rewind from Arkkyl and a sprint pop too, looking to fully disengage.
Double dunk there from QvoFred directly into Lightning Storm. BigSB, is he going to be able to survive here? Yes, the turtle shield as well as the damage mitigation from that ultimate keeps him alive for now. QvoFred doesn't want to let him go. Teleports in, uses the purification to clean him up. And that's, they needed that kill badly.
Grand scheme of things, though, it was 1 kill for a Golf Fury. Meanwhile, mid lane is being stopped by Hoek there as Variety was trying to split push that. They're going to answer back, however, VNT with this tier 1 tower on the left-hand side for the time being. 19 minutes in, and we're also approaching that time. I keep saying it because VNT keep coming back in around the midpoint of the game every time. Every
single time, but they have to be worried because there are still 3 ultimates available, and they're all here underneath this tier 2 tower. Variety has come in, starting to rotate over to this left-hand side, but he's low on mana as well.
Yeah, wall going to go off, but here's an order from MikeTheMagikarp. This will force VNT back for a moment. He doesn't really want to engage off this. He's just trying to slow down the advance, wait for the respawn of the big SB.
But whenever Erlang Shen does respawn, he won't have that teleport, so they won't be able to impact this fight too quickly. Variety cut out a little bit, trying to do those boars. Going to take a big lifesteal though, and now Hoek, he's in a ton of trouble. Yeah, nowhere for him to go.
Full collapse on the support, full pickup, space and time hits 3, but I don't think there's any real follow-up available unless they go for this with the threshold. BigSB on his way from the backside too. They want to push out the Dutch, so they want to push out VNT from falling back all the way.
Yeah, this is a smart call from Dutch Myrmidons to back up and give that up. And now this actually opens up the tier 2 tower in middle. Teleport coming in from Variety. Zyrhoes here as well. Use that Lightning Storm to get everyone off that tower. Very similar to the way that we just saw MikeTheMagikarp use that Ratatoskr ultimate.
Real wise decision from both two teams there overall. There, Hoek bit off a bit more than he could chew there. He probably needs to fall back towards his team a little bit more. He'd used most of his CC chain to try and support and engage for his team. But once that's down, you are just a sitting duckers backers sometimes, and you got to be respectful of that.
And we've seen him. We saw him do that on the Khepri game 2 as well. He seems to be a little bit
gung-ho.
Yeah, gung-ho is a good word for it.
It is gung-ho, and that's what you need from a support most of the time. But a Thor in mid lane, knock up as well. Pin is not going to keep Trixtank in place, but there's the shell. In the sky goes MikeTheMagikarp hitting 2, and now Trixtank going to ult back in response, and it's Mike in trouble instead. But in the sky is Baas, and he'll clean up 1. Talking about Baas in the sky, you've also got Quvo, who's looking to the backside, not going to find what he was after.
Arkkyl going to be able to find the big damage on the DeathPanter. Meanwhile, QvoFred is going to fall to Baas. DeathPanter actually took the exit right. He's going to survive just fine. No sustain this time for Dutch Myrmidons, but it doesn't matter. Tier 1 tower going to fall.
Hoek wisely just going to tank that one open. Now space and time fires off from a weird angle, but it's just before the rewind comes through. The team of Dutch Myrmidons march on towards a tier 2 now.
And now Zyrhoes just has to back up. No support coming. It's only these two alive. Trixtank's going to come up in the next 3 seconds, but it doesn't matter. He's just a tree. No way for him to get there. Tier 2 tower falls as well, and Dutch Myrmidons take a commanding lead in this game.
Yo, that's a big win for the Dutch Myrmidons right now. We talked about experience at stages of the game, and right now that's a really good spike. 7,000 experience, just under 6k gold as well. That is a substantial lead, even if you are against a potential super team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lead is a lead against any team whatsoever. 7.5k experience, 6k gold. Trixtank understands that the rest of Dutch Myrmidons are pretty low, trying to make a play, and yeah, he got it.
He stole that away. Trixtank just walks into the enemy jungle, gets 3 or a half health, and go, you know what, I'm going to try for a cheeky steal, and he takes the buff as well.
And you can just see his giggling face, you know.
Yeah,
he's
cheeky grin as usual, the whole time.
Always.
But to be fair, he's probably stepping it up now. He's probably not a cheeky smile on his face right now. He's probably angry with how this game has gone. This set was not as clean as it would like, and they're up against it right now, trying to answer back with this tier 1 tower in the mid lane, and that will buy a little bit of that gold back in their favor.
And they need it badly right now. DeathPanter is here. Yeah, nice pin there for the BigSB. Variety forced to jump away, but the two-man knock-up, tons of damage coming through.
But they're still alive for the time being, but Baas is in the sky again, looking towards Variety, gets 1 on the backside of that fight. MikeTheMagikarp came back, and DeathPanter is doing a good job to stay alive against Arkkyl for now, as Arkkyl forced to rewind, but Arkkyl is surrounded, got all his cooldowns back, however.
He's got a lot of damage available to him. Sanctuary just to buy himself some time against the Unstable Vortex. Baas going in. My man is full health, and he's not scared.
And they're still pushing on. Dutch Myrmidons here, looking for an opportunity. Tier 1 town on the left could be that window right now, especially with the Golf Fury about to spawn too.
And no one has been on Baas this entire entire game. He only has 1 death. He's been able to free cast basically in the backline. There's been no pressure from Variety whatsoever because he's been getting blown up at the beginning of every single fight. And again, it's Zashu, the big SB, on this Erlang Shen, making the initiation happen for Dutch Myrmidons.
I guess I'm just looking back to the beginning of this game and the Clown Fiesta we saw of the 5-on-5 fight. I actually thought we would see Arkkyl get a lead in the duo lane, but Baas' decision to go mid with DeathPanter there at the start of that game actually benefited both of their carries more so than what happened with VNTs in the grand scheme of things.
And Zyrhoes just hasn't been able to put out the damage that you really expect from a Zeus in the middle lane. Now MikeTheMagikarp, he's caught out. This is not a good look. That is the worst thing that you can do when your team has a lead. There's objectives on the map to take. This is your opportunity to push the lead, and then you're just in the wrong spot. That is a really bad time to get picked for MikeTheMagikarp.
Now his ultimate was available there too, but it looked like he used his Sanctuary and his Purification instead of trying to just ult out of there. He thought he could get away, but instead VNT fully commit. Now they're committing to the goal for you for a second, but they're being very respectful of the deficit they're currently at, even in a 4v5.
And you can see some defensive relics still down. The Blink is down for Trixtank. That's the initiation, as well as a Sanctuary for Arkkyl. No rewind available for him yet either.
Here comes Hoek, has his flop potentially available to go in here. Space and time fight off. Gold Fury still forced to reset as the Zeus ult comes through as well. Not really finding a home, more for zone duty, and they're focusing on Zyrhoes right now. But the support from Trixtank and Variety's there, and Variety's looking for extra pressure.
DeathPanter is just doing so much in these team fights right now. He's still completely full. The rest of Myrmidons have to just try and chase him down. Qvo was caught lazy backing there by Bars. No way for him to escape, I don't think. Oh, the stun immediately. He's still going to fall here to the DeathPanter, but he may be able to trade out because of that way to save time.
DeathPanter will stand tall. Left-hand side, Hoek was wrapping around the back of VNT. They're trying to put some more pressure on. They're looking at a tier 2, a little bit risky here. Got to force the bat out of hell. The turtle comes in. Big ultimate from MikeTheMagikarp coming back into this fight. However, that's causing issues for VNT right now.
It's going to be Hoek falling underneath the tower. MikeTheMagikarp getting very low. He's not going to fall, though. Able to escape that last tower shot. Arkkyl forced to rewind. DeathPanter has to take the exit into the jungle, still has a Sanctuary available. But it was all DeathPanter, that fight. I mean, the through space of time comes through, clips QvoFred for over half his HP, and then as they're chasing around those top left harpies, you see him throw out that unstable vortex, that then chugs Arkkyl for about half his HP. You can see top of the player damage charts right now. DeathPanter has looked absolutely phenomenal. It's been him and the big SB, Zashu, making plays for Dutch Myrmidons.
Now, DeathPanter goes all the way back to Season 1. In the Challenger Cups, he's been around the scene a long time. I've seen him in support, and I've seen him in solo lane before. Now in this mid position, he's looking pretty solid here. His experience, his tenure in the challenger scene is actually showing through, where he's actually able to start competing at this level. He understands how important and how much small mistakes can impact things.
When you've been really on the cusp for that long, eventually you just need a performance where you put your foot down.
Sometimes you make a mistake like that and then get hit by an ult, but he avoids a lot of the damage from that, but he can't avoid the clinging up. Cast a curse, boys and girls.
Yeah,
Cast a curse.
That's how it is every single time. But that was actually Variety just making sure the big SB couldn't back, chasing him out because he understood how little mana he had. Variety with a nice juke. He's not going that way.
Meanwhile, VNT doing the Gold Fury down to half health now. Hoek doesn't have his belly flop available for a little while. Janus still dead for a few more seconds. Gold Fury attempts steal from Baas. Won't be good enough as the Gold Fury goes the way of VNT.
But again, it's the worst time to get picked, and then you get picked off in the jungle, in your lane. It doesn't matter. The first time it was MikeTheMagikarp. It was because of DeathPanter that Dutch Myrmidons are able to kind of survive that storm, the 5v4 advantage that VNT had. But that time, it was him who got picked off. Just really unfortunate timing, and that's where you see the experienced teams picking on the less experienced players. They know that you can't get picked in these situations, and they'll position accordingly, and we just haven't seen that from the Dutch Myrmidons.
Well, you saw how long DeathPanter has stayed dead for after we were talking about him, and the Gold Fury going on, and he's still dead right now. Respawns are starting to hit that mark now, especially as more and more people have hit that level 20. The Fire Giant is where attention is going to start to turn towards.
Yeah, you can see a lot of items being completed, a lot of power spikes on both sides of the coin. Rod of Tahuti completed for DeathPanter. After that back, he's almost got all 6 items done.
And Variety still looking to pressure the big SB there. Right inside, DeathPanter comes for a pull, looking to pressure Arkkyl. walks around the hair as well. But BigSB stands tall, knowing he's got support in the jungle here.
And that's the way I like to see these solo laners play, is baiting the other team into them. You know you have enough to make sure you stay alive. It's all protections right now for Erlang Shen. And now it looks like he's going to go into one offensive item. I expect it's probably going to be a stone cutting sword, potentially stealing away protections and giving them to yourself. I would like that pickup.
Here goes Qvo to the sky. Trix already below half health here. Trix in a lot of trouble, but Qvo's going to cause a couple of issues from space and time. Came through as well as MikeTheMagikarp picks up Trixtank, and the boys of the Dutch Myrmidons trying to march on here, but the bad out of hell is causing some problems.
QvoFred gonna fall though. BigSB finds Zyrhoes. MikeTheMagikarp gonna stay alive as well.
They're gonna lose.
Another flop there from Hoek. Variety gonna eat a chunk of damage from that through space, or excuse me, that unstable vortex. But all the while, it's Baas and the rest of the Dutch Myrmidons knocking down this tier 2 tower.
Not gonna lie here, boys and girls, because I know they're all still friends, but Zalia, Lobster, and Funballer will have cheeky little grins on their faces right now looking at this roster, as well as those boys of Obey will have a little bit of a smirk to themselves right now, especially if the Dutch Myrmidons continue this. But I tell you what, they've got to be careful, because you might have a smirk on your face, but the Dutch Myrmidons have deserved this so far.
They've looked absolutely great, because especially DeathPanter. Now Arkkyl taking a lot of damage, all 3 snipes, fighting a home from Baas, who's also looked phenomenal in this game, not able to find quite enough damage, but it's just keeping them off this fire giant.
And now with this, the fire giant slowly whittled down to below half health. No real engage for the side of VNT to get in here. They've just got to manually walk in unless you use Bat out of hell, but the fire giant's already dead. Dutch Myrmidons escalate their lead.
Wow, 8K, right around 8K gold, a little bit under 7.5. 5 members with Fire Giant. We've reached the late game stages, and the late game potential for this team is incredibly strong. We've seen how much the BigSB has been able to translate that early game lead into middle and late game engagements and into healing for his backline as well. He can do it all on this Erlang Shen, and then it's been, for me, it's been DeathPanter and Baas, the 2 damage dealers, have both looked so clean this game. DeathPanter in particular, I know I've said his name a million times, but in my mind, it's absolutely deserved.
And his decision making as well in terms of build has been very, very fortuitous for the team as well.
Yes.
The Divine Ruin will come into play with anti-heal for variety, not just that of the Sylvanus as well. Those Wisps will give protections, but they won't give as much healing. And now he's nearly finished that Soul Reaver, so approaching full build right now. He's a very big impact.
And we saw us through space and time. They're already hitting for a ton. I think he hit Qvo or someone in that fight for around 900 damage from a distance. So you've got to be wary of that long-range strike.
And as a mid laner as well, you've got to have a Janus in your god pool, and to be fair to VNT, they've got to respect that mid laners at this level should have Janus in their god pool, and Janus in competitive play, different beast than casual.
Without a doubt, he's a different animal, exactly. Just he's so much available to him in that kit, able to do so much for your squad.
So now they're just hanging around here, because they're a little bit worried about trying to initiate onto VNT under the tower. They've got to clear out of minion waves, wait for minions to push in mid as well, but if they can force somebody slightly out of position, they've got plenty of engage with the pin and the belly flop available to them.
In this, they've missed an opportunity because both Qvo and Zyrhoes had neither relics available. That could have really been an excellent engage, but it's actually Trixtank.
Gonna ult, force the purification from Panther immediately. Arkkyl on the backside being engaged on by the BigSB. Space and time, that time wasn't great, as Baas is going to get some snipe shots off, not really finding a home either. Qvo still thinking about coming down from the sky at the moment on an opportunity, and he's going to find that onto one, but Baas comes up big.
Where did he go? Qvo gets erased by Baas. Now MikeTheMagikarp able to pick up Trixtank as well. Both the former teammates fall immediately. Left Phoenix gonna fall to the hand of Baas and the rest of the squad.
They will get that one. Very good way from Dutch Myrmidons to realize they needed to fall back. They lost the engagement overall there, but the turnaround was good. Arkkyl, however, trying to make it work for himself. Gonna chase down Baas. The team have left him alone. Now he's gonna have to box his way out of this one. And a 1-for-1 trade. That works out actually pretty well overall for VNT, because they could keep their middle Phoenix up unless Variety falls here.
Variety falling very low, but the belly flop off the mark. Hoek, they need to kill the Phoenix to keep him alive. They do so. DeathPanter just is still throwing out those unstable vortexes, doing so much damage. Arkkyl saves the game there by killing Baas. They absolutely needed to take down that late game Rama, only his 2nd death of the game.
Same time though, full respect to Dutch Myrmidons on the engagement, because as soon as they get that middle Phoenix, they back up. They could have attempted an end there, but that was a potential throw that they avoided the opportunity of. They still playing level-headed, which is very important.
Absolutely. They're looking like a very clean team right now overall, and that fight looked like it was going to go horribly for them off the bat.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the BigSB, you see the through space and time be throwing right on top of him, but it's the wrong target to try and kill with that. It doesn't find a home, and that's been the big difference maker as far as damage goes, has been those through space and times, but even with that missing, QvoFred comes crashing down and then just gets exploded by Ram. I mean, just the late game damage potential.
It wasn't just Ram though, was it? I guess it was a few other people involved in that.
I think it was the big crit though from Baas coming through that really
well,
is
now
able
they're trying to pressure the jungle
danger
here. As you can see, VNT trying to get a bit of farm on the right-hand side here, get Cuvo up to that level 20. 32 minutes in and you don't have a level 20 jungler. You got a few issues, and that jungler's still got issues now. He takes away a lot of damage though as he gets to the sky, but Trixtank's initiation was for naught, and now they can turn on that.
Lightning Storm comes down. There's a through space time to do some damage, but not quite enough. Variety doing a nice job keeping DeathPanter at bay.
But the big issue there for them is Baas wasn't actually with them. Rama was still in the jungle around the fire giant there. And if Dutch Myrmidons would have recognized that, they should have probably tried to hold off a little bit on the commitment that they invested into that, as quite a few of their ultimates, if not actually all their ultimates, were for that one engagement.
Yeah, 4 ults used, but with the fire giant coming up in the next 45 seconds, they're going to need to make sure those are ready to go, because that's going to be the next big fight. You're going to see VNT push down the left side, push down the middle Phoenix, and then potentially try and contest this fire giant.
And right now this game is VNT have to deicide twice here right now, just because of how many towers are still on the map for Dutch Myrmidons.
If they get a clean wipe with late game Chronos and late game Zeus, they could probably
with 2 towers still standing, you reckon?
Probably, yeah.
I wasn't just because I was like,
just because of the Chronos tower damage, because especially with the Polynomicon proc, you can use that, you press your 2 and then you get a huge burst of damage. You're hitting that tower for like 400 on the first auto. You could probably knock that down cleanly, but you need a clean deicide. It needs to be 5 for 0, yeah.
It's going to be quick as well. It can't be a staggered deicide because people will respawn through afterwards. So we'll see how this works out, because Fire Giant started up right now for Dutch Myrmidons once more. They definitely need a new name, because we've always been called Myrmidons all season, that's for sure, because they've earned themselves their own title right now. They don't have to rip off somebody else's with how they've been playing. They deserve this opportunity to look for the 3rd Phoenix after a free Fire Giant.
Without a doubt, Variety just getting zoned away by Hoek by himself all the way up by that Phoenix. You see Arkkyl still dealing with these fire creeps on the left-hand side. MikeTheMagikarp making sure that he has vision control. If he wants to go up into the tree, he wants to do so from the jungle and try and make it a surprise attack.
And here's the difference between what we saw game 1, where VNT made a mistake at this right on Phoenix, and the difference in Dutch Myrmidons. They're pushing the waves in first of all, poking from range, using the FG to regen. Sit back a little bit, let these minions help you do the work, and force a situation that VNT do not want to be in.
And now the Blink Initiation finds 3 there from Trixtank. MikeTheMagikarp up in the sky. Frenzy popped the multi-man knockup though from MikeTheMagikarp.
Snipes for QvoFred. They're not going to find a home to kill him in time, but Variety still surrounding. Variety gets bursted down. Flop onto 2. Rewind immediate from Arkkyl, but Trix is now out of the scene. Cuvo took to the sky, got a good dunk, but instead he gets juggled around, and now he's trying to run for his life. The Sanctuary will not keep him alive long enough to get away, but Baas will fall to the detonate, and it's actually going to be the VNT hold thanks to the help of Zyrhoes.
The big SB just trying to keep that pressure on, trying to get these Phoenixes down. He's still here. Yeah, left's gonna probably fall to these fire minions. MikeTheMagikarp coming around the backside. Zero's gonna fall.
1 for 1, however, overall. So it's only Mike left, and Arkkyl might fancy himself a bit of this. Instead, he's gonna focus on the minions and defending the Titan, because Mike wants to do the same thing. Bring the Phoenixes down. Middle one just spawned. Right one at half health.
This is you're juggling a lot of balls in the air right now. If you're a VNT, you're trying to make sure your middle Phoenix is up while still defending the right-hand Phoenix. At the end of the day, 4 fall on each side, but that Titan still under pressure.
Pretty sure that middle wave is about to be a fire minion wave that's coming in here, so Arkkyl has to defend that. Mike is not going to contest, however, which I'm a bit surprised about. You could have tried to poke out Arkkyl a little bit, allow it to get to the Phoenix at least, but I don't think we could have got it anyway.
Maybe, but it's a late game Chronos. Yeah, you're a 36-minute Chronos. He's going to be doing a ton of damage, and that's the way that MikeTheMagikarp really has to play these team fights, is coming crashing down and then darting out the backside and then coming back in, trying to find a stun, then getting out on the backside again. Well, that's really the way you have to play it.
Let's take a little look at the player damage here and see how people have been doing so far this game in terms of damage done. Panther at the top, we saw his performance had been solid enough, but the next 2 on the list here are from Variety's new team. We've got Zyrhoes and we got Arkkyl.
Not too surprising. The big one for me is QvoFred, all the way at the bottom there, really having a really tough game. on this Thor. Just never had the pressure that he really wanted.
Flop from Hoek on his own there, looking to really just steal away creeps more than anything else, I feel, in the jungle, and put some pressure on. The flop could have hit, it could have caused some problems for them, but instead, VNT fall back, looking to defend the middle Phoenix.
And you can see only MikeTheMagikarp still has that Fire Giant. Got it for another 10 or another minute or so, minute and 10 seconds. DeathPanter just doing what he's been doing, just trying to throw those out those unstable vortexes, poking down Variety.
The problem is, though, is Variety is on Camazotz, and the sustain is real on that guard. Not tie that into the fact that he's also got a Sylvanus. It's going to be a bit difficult, even with Divine Ruin, to make sure that you could 100-0 him, unless you get a big old through space and time.
Hoek looking to find a stun, not going to be able to find it, but the 3-man blink engage. DeathPanter, he's already dead!
And Baas is dead too, followed it up. Zyrhoes claims himself another one. Now they look for Hoek, and still the TheBigSB trying to keep them busy, but they group up together, and Hoek's going to fall down soon. MikeTheMagikarp, however, is looking for the Phoenix. Mike gets the Phoenix to the back there as they were busy fighting. Dutch Myrmidons are just trying to buy themselves time. That's what Mike's doing here. Try and buy time. They have to wait for respawns now. Getting that middle Phoenix was important, and then living is even more important right now.
Just trying to relieve the pressure is VNT, but MikeTheMagikarp, yeah, we're going to be here a little bit. You can absolutely tell with the way this game is going back and forth, but that's all Trixtank. I mean, Trixtank and Zyrhoes working together beautifully there. Zyrhoes ends up falling in the backside to the Ratatoskr, but it doesn't matter. They're able to just do so much damage. Baas and DeathPanter, there's no reason for DeathPanter to be there. In that scenario, you have to play like an assassin as Janus. You need to sit in the jungle and use your through space and time to get in after the initiation has already been
used. I'm pretty sure relics were all up for the two of them and both fell down there, the Janus and the Ra, but they got hit by the knocker before they could do anything. I'm not sure if they were up, but if they weren't up, why were they trying to siege there anyway?
Yeah, exactly. You have to be patient and wait for it. Now the TheBigSB trying to defend that middle tier too, but he's buying time, exactly.
But MikeTheMagikarp comes in looking to turn that one around, and instead he's going to be the casualty of war here. The mistake was really made here. The Wisps will end up killing him thanks to Arkkyl actually overall. Fire Giant has respawn. Space and time got fired off, but it's not going to hit home. However, it has bought another window, especially with Phoenixes being down the left and the right for VNT.
Just so tense, back and forth. Another TheBigSB just trying to defend that middle tower a little too hard, and then he baits his teammate in to try and save his life. The Mantle of Discord proc almost saved his life.
I'm rooting for Dutch Myrmidons here because it would really hurt them if they lose this game now. With how this game's gone, to lose this would be really disheartening for them overall. Obviously, they can come back and win, win next week or something, but I think they'd be really upset with themselves if they threw this lead.
Yeah, they've played fantastically, and they deserve a lot of the confidence they're going to get.
Carries grouping together in the late game is the biggest issue that teams have overall. And people like Trixtank, who've been around the scene as a support player, when you're an initiating support like Sylvanus with Blink, he's looking for you two just to get a little bit too close, and he's coming in.
It doesn't matter if there's anyone else around you or anything like that. Even if he only hits the 2 carries, that's enough. It's just the dot damage alone is enough to poke you out. Plus, if you don't use that Sanctuary or Purification before you get knocked up, you're instantly dead.
Well, the dance of the Fire Giant has begun for the time being between the two teams. Very important. Variety still on the left, has teleport available, pushing out minions. Obviously, there's no fire minions left on that left-hand side as the Phoenixes just respawned.
Variety actually used the teleport preemptively there to get into the fight very, very early on there. So you can see Dutch Myrmidons going to look again at this Fire Giant.
TheBigSB took some free poke for nothing. Arkkyl looking to hit the gas pedal a little bit harder, but flops on in place. And there's an ultimate coming down from MikeTheMagikarp too, but they don't manage to pick up Arkkyl. Who was in place? Space and time hits Zyrhoes though, but QvoFred has already taken out one carry in Rama. Variety's keeping DeathPanter pinned out the fight at the same time. Zyrhoes getting very low on the backside, and they will pick up Zyrhoes 1-for-1 so far.
But he did enough damage. That's all that matters now. MikeTheMagikarp got the wall, but the wall there from Qvo is perfect. Mike tries to dash into everyone, not going to help him out. It's actually the TheBigSB stunned out by that time stop. Arkkyl somehow avoids the unstable vortex.
Hoek goes back in to buy time and slow down VNT, but VNT have to fall back. There is fire minions pouring into the base. Look, check the left-hand side. That is a fire minion wave, I'm sure, for how well it's pushed down that left, and that's why Variety's had to go back to defend and keep that left-hand Phoenix alive. VNT win another little skirmish there, but they don't get anything out of it other than keeping their Phoenixes standing.
And Baas falls there before using the Sanctuary, before using the ultimate, and it's so difficult because when you've done so well up to this point, you have to know that that target is on your back. you can see the difference in style there from DeathPanter. He uses through space and time, hits Zyrhoes for almost his entire health bar, and then is just skirting around the outside of the fight. Sure, he didn't do the big damage that they needed, but he stayed alive. And Baas needs to use that ultimate from Ram to get up in the air early on. Even if it's not to find the late game snipes, you have to use it as a time buyer at this stage in the game.
I would like to maybe see Erlang Shen here, the big SB, going over to the left-hand side and looking to split push a little bit. He's got teleport available. He can keep someone pinned back on this left-hand side of the Phoenix. Surprised he didn't do that around the last Fire Giant a minute ago when Variety was over there.
Yeah, that's true, but Variety, they got the teleport so early on. I feel like that was the right call to try and get that engagement going, but overall, you're right. With the Variety teleport still being down for a little over a minute, that would be a heads-up play from the big SB to continue to put pressure.
Zeus is going to pick up the red buff for himself. Obviously, to a mage in the mid lane at the late game scenario, the red buff is worth more to him than a Fire Giant ever will be.
Yes, I've given up numerous Fire Giants in my days just to make sure I'm getting my red buff.
It's the same way junglers are about the speed buff when you're losing a Gold Fury. It's the same sort of scenario. Late game mages love that red buff. It gives them just so much more of a boost in damage, more than a Fire Giant would. Even though they don't get sustain, regeneration, it's still very important for them.
And that's the thing, Zyrhoes falls in that fight, mostly due to the through space and time that chunks him, but overall, he did enough. He did enough damage. He did his job. As a mage, your job isn't necessarily to live in team fights, because that's really the hunter's job, is to make sure they're alive for any late game sieging opportunities. Mages are just there to throw up numbers, and that's exactly what Zyrhoes did in that last team fight.
Well, Dutch Myrmidons need to group a little bit better now. They're a little bit scattered on the map with their position. I can understand that for the most part, but VNT are currently on the hunt to try and find a pick if they can. As you saw, MikeTheMagikarp there lose about 25% of his health on the left-hand side to Arkkyl.
Trixtank does have the blink, rather. Every relic is available. I think that's why we saw VNT playing a little bit back. The purification from QvoFred and Zyrhoes, both on cooldown. But now that every relic is up, we're going to have to see Trix. He's going to be looking for the DeathPanter and Baas group up yet again.
This is so tense between the two teams right now, and the one team that I feel would be more tense here is the Dutch Myrmidons, because they have a real shot here. They've had this game in the bag for all intents and purposes for such a long time, but VNT have slowly but surely kept fighting back into this one and now find it closer to an even game than you'd expect, because everyone's pretty much max level and everyone's pretty much full on items.
Trixtank gonna get stunned out, taking a little bit of damage from that unstable vortex, but it's MikeTheMagikarp on the top side, forcing the Sanctuary.
And in goes QvoFred. He's going to take to the sky. Mike gets up too. Meanwhile, they're looking straight to the backside, looking for Panther, who gets away from the pole. He's still running for his life right now. Unstable Vortex through the wall to deal some damage and get away again. Into the sky go Baas.
He's looking for Variety. Needs to find him, but can't find either of the second two, despite the stun from Hoek there. Just a little bit too rushed from Baas there. And you can see that's where the tense really starts to get to you, is in those high-pressure situations.
I don't think they realize, though, VNT still have one ultimate available, and it's on their big boy carrying the mid lane. Zyrhoes on that Zeus has ultimate up. They have to just respect the fact that they've got to be careful here. They see backing happening. Arkkyl will back, and you can see Zyrhoes looking to back here as well. They've got to be careful about this VNT, about these staggered backs, just in case that Dutch Myrmidons realize how many are missing. But look at this around the left.
Around the left-hand side, Variety, but they're still chasing Zyrhoes and Trix. On the right-hand side, Trix taking a good amount of his health, but so is the big SB.
And Arkyl's back as well. Don't forget the gas pedals available for him. They're looking at Variety now. It's a big crit for the time being, but Variety's buying time because Qvo is now in the sky. Ult misses. The wall is good, forcing purification out of Baas for now. And Baas is going to get initiated on by Variety. Space and time does not hit anybody.
No one to find there. Baas taking a decent amount of damage from Variety. Trix blinking in, but no one home, basically.
Clown Fiesta once again from both teams here. They're both looking to make plays, and neither of them finding kills.
Just throwing it at the wall and seeing what sticks. Unfortunately, not a whole lot stuck there for either squad.
Yeah, I mean, most ultimates are currently down now for the Dutch Myrmidons. 3 ultimates available for VNT, and I actually think Dutch Myrmidons might have to give up this Fire Giant here now. If they try and force this, unless they win the fight, they could actually lose the game.
Just so many ultimates. DeathPanter taking too much damage. Arkkyl able to pick him up. That's hot. The huge Zeus
It's over. That should be game now. I'm pretty sure VNT might win that big off that one ultimate. Zeus gets a double kill, and now Hoek running for his life at the backside of this big SB, just like, I can't do anything, boys. I gotta run too. Hoek will fall as well, and VNT go end the game. They're gonna end straight down the mid line here, looking to close this one out. Just respawns. Can the big SB hold this?
No, I don't think so, as well as the Emperor's armor coming through from Trixtank, slowing down that attack speed from the towers. Look at the respawn times. 50 seconds on almost everyone. Heartbreaking.
What a semi-final this has been. VNT will get a lot more out of this than they probably expected coming into it. They probably learned a lot about their team. But I'll tell you what I learned today. The Dutch Myrmidons have a lot of potential if they stay together and keep doing what they did here today. VNT win 2-1, but it shouldn't have been.
Wow, that's crazy. That stinks, man.
That's crazy.
You got to root for the underdog, right? Like
You do.
every Smite fan loves rooting for the underdog, and that was the Dutch Myrmidons here today, and they had it. They had it. It just slipped through their fingers.
Had it. All intents and purposes, though, when you look back across the whole set, VNT through game 1 of the Phoenix on the right-hand side, which allowed them back into it.
True.
So I guess Dutch Myrmidons had to even the scales of balance.
Yeah.
And make sure they get one back.
Yeah, nice guys.
Good guys, Dutch Myrmidons. What a fantastic set, though. I don't even think overall MVP for those games. DeathPanter was great. I mean, late game struggled a little bit. It looked like he missed a couple of the ultimates and stuff, but he had a fantastic set, though.
Overall, yeah. I mean, the DeathPanter looked great, but you're right. DeathPanter was really the reason they got to this stage at all. He was the reason that they got to those late game stages where they had that lead. He was really, really impactful. Baas was as well.
Yep.
The DeathPanter just dominant in that lane in the early team fights as well. Variety just didn't look like the same player that we saw at Worlds today.
Struggled a little bit, I guess, today overall. Maybe it was because he was against, you know, the DeathPanter, Zashu, who's in it. You've got Zashu and you've got MikeTheMagikarp, formerly known as Get Fisher. They've been in the Pro League before, but for me, the biggest focal points here was DeathPanter and probably Baas and Hoek. The three of them who haven't really been in the big time before really stepped up and showed they've got potential.
All three of them showed great potential, and all three of them had some things they clearly need to work on.
Sure.
But it's very easy to correct those small mistakes.
And when you can take a top team like that to the highest level, like you can take that long, you can really work out the issues that you saw.
Very true. Very, very true. Interested to see how VNT is going to do in the finals now.
Me too.
Because usually they either completely collapse and fall apart in a situation like this, or they're going to roll in the finals. There's like no in between. There's zero chance these games are close.
Well, it's going to be a best of 3 anyway, so you never know. We could go 3 games here as well.
I mean, the throw potential is there.
At the end of that game, Zyrhoes had big plays throughout the whole game. He's almost been pretty on point. I want to give a shout out to him too. The Zeus game was fantastic from him. He played well on the Poseidon. His mid lane is looking pretty damn solid right now because he just walked in.
Real good. It was really solid. It really was. The Zeus ult towards the end, combining with Trixtank, you called it as soon as that engagement happened. You got to watch out. Zyrhoes still has that lightning storm. That's exactly what it did. It was right here. I mean, this is the dream as a Zeus player. That your Sylvanus is like, yo, I just hit everyone. Look at that damage. Just unbelievable.
And the detonate got him a double straight off the bat of that, and then he managed to clean them off that as well. You can see at the end, he's like, well, I'm not really worried about you because my whole team is forcing things on the front line, and we're going to go on and win the game. Fantastic play overall from both those teams today. Obviously, only one of them can move forward. That's going to be VNT to the finals today, which is going to be up next.
Very excited to see it. Again, I really want to see how well they can bounce back from a really, really close game that they know was kind of gifted to them in Game 3.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to be fair, sometimes you can... When you win those games, you don't really talk about them. You just go, yeah, we won. You don't tell the story of how you won.
Right.
But when you lose those games, you'll be like, you know what? We had that and we lost it. That's the worst thing about it.
But like you mentioned, in Game 1, they're saying it never should have gotten to Game 3.
That's true.
We gifted them Game 1, so it's a back and forth sort of thing.
Great play from both those two teams, but that's it from the semi-finals now. We'll be back after the break with the finals of the first week of the Open Bracket in Europe.